Should we start with part B?
Should we what?
Start with part B?
Part B.
Always start with B.
Absolutely.
How good it is.
How good it is.
How sweet it is.
How sweet it is
to be together on this day. How good it is.
How good it is.
How sweet it is.
How sweet it is
to be together on this day. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. 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 How good it is.
How good it is.
How sweet it is.
How sweet it is
to be together on this day. How good it is. How sweet it is.
How sweet it is
to be together on this day. Shalom Aleichem, Malam Aleikum. Shalom Aleichem, Salam Aleikum. Shalom Aleichem, Salam Aleikum. Shalom Aleichem, Salam Aleikum. Ne'matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Ne'matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
How good it is to be outside together. It's wonderful to be outside together. And there's a wonderful coincidence in that as we have come together on this Shabbat to be in this space, in this outdoor sanctuary, we also begin the book of Bamidbar, which is a book that takes place outside. And it's nice to have a little wind. It gives us a little wilderness experience. Definitely, this is a more manicured wilderness than the wilderness that we encounter in the book of Numbers. And indeed, the wilderness that is described in the Torah and beyond is both a place of peril and also a place of promise. Here is a place of promise and a place of safety. And this hour together gives us this moment in time to rejuvenate ourselves, to gather together in this beautiful place, to sit a little bit more comfortably with masks off and to see each other's faces. And since we have come into this space, let's just take a moment of silence to enjoy its sounds and to enjoy its feel and to breathe. You might not recognize the person to my left. This is Gabriel Lehrman. He is our cantorial intern for the summer, and we're thrilled, my colleagues and I are thrilled that he has joined us on this bima, and are thrilled to be working with him for the next 10 Shabbatot, 10 weeks or so. Gabriel is no stranger to our congregation. He grew up here, and it's wonderful to welcome him back and to have him here as our colleague. You'll be seeing him frequently, and if you do not know him, I invite you to take the opportunity to get to know him better in the course of this summer. He's a very thoughtful, talented person, and we're very lucky to have you here. So welcome.
Thank you.
In honor of his joining us for the summer, we want to invite forward his family that are also here tonight to welcome him and to be part of our celebration on this night. And so Russ and Jesse and Lori, would you please come forward to light our candles? Good luck. And we turn now to page 5 or page 123 for Kiddush.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei puri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu b'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lemase v'reshit ki hu yom techila lemikrae kodesh zecher litziat Mitzrayim kivanu v'charta ve'otanu kidashta mikol hamim ve'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat.
L'chaim.
Chaim.
Got some feedback. We welcome Shabbat with Lecha Dodi, page 20 or 138.
Lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. 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 Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad tishmi'anu el hamiuchad Adonai echad u'shemo echad l'shemo tiferet v'litila. Lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha ki mekor haberacha merosh mikedem mesucha sof maaseh b'machshavat tchila. Lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela.
Verse 5.
Hitoreri ki va'orech uri shir daveri kevod Adonai yitikla. Lecha dodi lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela.
Verse 9.
Boi v'shalom ateret bala gam besimcha uvetzala toch emunei am segula. Boi chala Lecha Adoni likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi dodi, Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela.
There is one whose voice rings with the song of humanity, hoping for the highest perfection. And there is one who rises even higher, uniting with all creatures, with all worlds, filling the universe with song. Nivarech, let us bless. Baruchu, page 28 or 146. Tomorrow night we begin Shavuot, our celebration of the giving of Torah on Mount Sinai. And so it is appropriate for us on this Shabbat in particular to sing together these words, Ahavat Olam, page 32, 150. page 34.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod, Hashem Kevod Malachuto, Leolam Vaed.
Please be seated.
We turn now to the words of Deuteronomy, page 36 or 154. And it's my pleasure to invite up Sam Cedar and Noah Gross, two of our upcoming B'nai Mitzvah, to lead us in chanting V'ahavta.
Right there. So hold on to this Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha uvechol nafshecha uvechol meodecha vehayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom alevavecha ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך, בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך, ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. אלוהיכם אמת.
Page 40 or 158, we sing our song of freedom, the words of Michamocha.
Kamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh. Nora tehilot, osef eleh, nora tehilot, osef eleh Adonai
Yaakov, ugalo miyad chazak mimenu, Baruch atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael. We'll turn now to page 44 or 162. This is our song of Shabbat. I just have to tell a quick story about this. I know Russell's ready. Yes. Get the excitement, the suspense up. So apparently there's a burrito shop in LA that is called Burrito Olam. Burrito Olam, which comes from this prayer. The Brit Olam is the eternal covenant of Shabbat, and it is also apparently a burrito shop. I encourage you all to look for it. Please take a picture of yourself in front of the store. And in the meantime, page 44 or 162. I know I really set the tone for this, right? Let's sing. Shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Beini uvein bnei Yisrael, oti leolam, oti leolam, oti leolam. Veshamru bnei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai, et ha-shamayim ve'et haaretz. Veshamru bnei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Uvayom hashvi, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash. Veshamru bnei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. We'll turn now to our Amidah on page 46 or 164, and we'll chant the first three blessings together and then have some time for quiet. When you're finished with your personal prayers, you can be seated, so please rise.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imoteinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah. האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם ארוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש. This weekend brings us Shavuot, a holiday of receiving the Torah, in which we read from the book of Ruth. This song comes from that book and connects the deep love of two close friends and comparing that to our relationship with the Torah. לשוב מאחרייך, כי אשר תלכי לך, ובאשר תליני עלי.
Our thoughts now turn to those in need of healing, healing of body, healing of spirit. Tonight we are especially keeping in mind Lisa Axelrod, Susan Carlson, Abigail Covert, Charles Dietz, Selena Glader, Faith Gobedy, Sarah Guido, Dorothy Huppert, Moritz Huppert, Marvin Jones, Arnie Kaufman, Harold Muckamal, Sophia Palazban, Nick Pasquale, Donna Perlman, Dr. Mark Perlroth, Rabbi Lori Phillips, Peggy Pizzo, Dale Prinstein, Stephen Avraham Simon, David Baruch Ben Simona, Matthew Smith, Donna Spanger, Nicole Gent Wickenheiser, and Katie Wilson. If there's someone you're praying for tonight, please say their name aloud.
ומכבש לעצבותם מונה מספר לכוכבים לכולם שמות יקרא Healer of the brokenhearted Binder of our wounds, counter of uncountable stars. You know who we are.
Paige Kaplan is a longtime member of our congregation, but she is our first engagement and experience manager. And recently, Paige completed her first year of working here, She has made a remarkable series of contributions to our community in that first year. I also realized this evening you have quite a remarkable title page that we gave you, because these words engagement and experience and manager basically suggest that you can contribute to just about anything that happens in this place. One of the wonderful things about Paige is that she is always willing to contribute and to give of herself in very productive and creative ways. And I asked her to contribute to this experience on this night by offering a Devar Torah and to give some kind of retrospective on this past year, but also to explain a bit more what she does and how her work is contributing to our community and its future. So, Paige.
Good evening. I hope it doesn't get too windy, because I realized before I came up here that I did not number the pages. There are a lot of them, not because I have a lot to say, but because my eyes are old and I can't see them unless it's 18-point font. So this week's Torah portion, Bamidbar, starts with God speaking to Moses in the wilderness of Sinai, in the tent of meeting, telling him to take a census. And Rabbi Morrison, as he said, asked me to speak tonight about engagement. So let's begin with the text. Bamidbar is the beginning of the book of Numbers. The book gets its English name from the very censuses that are described in this portion, each with a different purpose. The number of able-bodied men available to serve as soldiers, the number of Levites, and the numbers in the family of Kohath, a Levite subclan. This portion is about a census, a counting of all Israelites. Rabbi Isaac Aramah, who lived in Spain in the 15th century, teaches that God told Moses to count the Israelites so that Moses would know that they were all equal in stature, and yet the stature of each one was different, meaning that each Israelite was not just part of the population, but that each one had individual worth. While this portion is about a census, and it says it's a counting of all the Israelites, not all of the Israelites were counted. Women were not counted. Men under 20 were not counted. Anyone who could not fight was not counted. This is the problem with counting people. Some always get omitted. The people who are left out know it, and it hurts. The Hebrew term for counting used in this portion literally translates to lift up the head. The act of counting should lift people's heads and help them feel that their lives and contributions have dignity and meaning. Which brings us to engagement. The action of participating or becoming involved in something. It can also mean establishing a meaningful contact or connection with someone or something. Engagement, therefore, is participating, connecting, becoming involved. If you're engaged in something, you count. You're not left out because you're actively participating. So what's my role in engagement? A little over a year ago, as it's been said, I became Beth Am's first engagement and experience manager, and I often get asked what my job is. I spent the last year working in collaboration with our clergy, staff, and lay leaders to create this role. When asked what I do, I tell people that I focus on the recruitment of new members and the retention of current members while building community for all members through meaningful relationships. My role in engagement is to ask, listen, and facilitate. Implementing a relational approach involves meeting people where they are. In order to do that, we need to know where you, our members, are. This can be a literal geographic location so that we offer our outreach programs such as Shabbat in the Park in the right communities, to the more nebulous concepts of feelings of connection, degrees of involvement, and participation. Focusing on using a relational approach to build community, I've been working with members of the clergy, staff, board, and other lay leaders. I'm going to give a shout out here to the Engagement and Experience team, you know who you are, to determine priorities and pilot programs to engage members in ways that make sense for them. What is your role in engagement? Lift up your head and be counted. Help us to create, show up, participate. Being part of a community is like any relationship. The return you receive will be proportional to the amount that you put in. But I also know from talking with many of you that you are busy. You're schlepping kids to endless after-school activities. You have demanding jobs, or you're caring for your aging parents, or you're managing your own health. But I also know that here at Beth Am, we have so many opportunities to get involved in different ways that are meaningful for you. The top 5 reasons people joined our congregation over the last year were: 1, to enroll their kids in youth education; 2, to find Jewish community; 3, attend worship services; 4, to learn as adults; and 5, to participate in social justice. So if you've got kids of any age and you're looking for a way to teach them about Judaism in a fun, dynamic, and creative way, we've got that. We offer Tot Shabbats, Young Families in the Park, Young Family Havurah, Hagigah, traditional Sunday program, Wednesday teen nights, Beit Midrash for our B'nai Mitzvah cohort, and our youth groups, Badgie for middle schoolers and Baddie for high schoolers. We're working hard to not only engage our kids, but to find ways to include parents so that they can meet each other, build friendships, engage with each other, create community, and feel part of Beth Am. Help us move from a drop and go to a drop and do culture with our youth educational offerings. If you're struggling with life's greatest challenges and need a supportive peer to help you through, we've got that. Our TIKVA program offers one-to-one emotional support for our members who are facing a life challenge. The program matches congregants in need with a volunteer who is trained to provide compassionate support in times of crisis. Our Beit Refuah, House of Healing, is Beth Am's support group for those coping with mental health issues and the family and friends who help and sustain them. You can give or receive mitzvah meals. Our mitzvah meal coordinators reach out to members living close by those in need to make and deliver meals. If you've just had a new baby, are dealing with illness, hospitalization, or family stress, contact Mitzvah Meals and congregant volunteers will feed you. Our clergy are warm and caring and available to talk as well. Are you interested in learning something new? We've got that. We've got adult learning opportunities for everyone. Feel like you don't know enough about Judaism? Join our Judaism 101 class in the fall. Our clergy are amazing teachers of Torah and Talmud and many other subjects. Wish you'd taken more art history, want to learn Hebrew, explore Musar? Our offerings are varied and evolving. Interested in something you don't see? Lift up your head. Partner with us. Create something with us. Are you looking for opportunities to volunteer, to make the world a better place? We've got that. Our Dayenu Circle is going strong and working to combat climate change. We're always looking for folks to help out at the CSA Food Pantry. Subscribe to our SEDEC email to learn more about upcoming opportunities. In addition, this summer and fall, Beth Am's Racial Justice and Equity Initiative will be convening several small groups to meet for a series of sessions about how we face our truths about race, privilege, power, and the biases that we all hold. Are you a young professional seeking community? Do you know a young professional seeking community? We've got that in the Orchard, a Jewish community for young adults in their 20s and 30s, with or without children, offering Shabbat programming for adults as well as young families, classes, and social justice opportunities. The Orchard continues to grow and thrive. All this, and I haven't even touched upon the myriad of offerings from Beth Am women and Beth Am men. We've got that. Are you thinking, well, that's great, but none of that sounds like me? Well, now we've got that too. We have identified the life stage from which we have the most attrition, when many members may start to lose their connection to Beth Am, which often has been through their children's religious education. And they may no longer see an obvious reason to be part of a synagogue. In order to better understand this population, meet them where they are, we conducted a survey, a type of census, that gave us useful and actionable information that I'm using to connect people to new programs being developed and ultimately to each other. One of these new programs we are currently piloting in this at-risk demographic is community circles. Community circles are affinity groups organized around activities, interests, age and stage in life, or a combination. They're meant to provide an opportunity to create and deepen relationships and build community at Beth Am. One of our first community circles to get started is made up of members whose kids are in college or just out of college. At their initial meeting, these members described feeling a loss of connection now that their kids are no longer part of our youth education programs. They will spend the next 4 months getting to know each other through a variety of activities, and we'll see where it leads. Are you part of a group which has historically been or felt left out of the count? Lift up your head, let me know, and we'll work on that together. Here's an example from the last year to illustrate. Last spring, I had conversations with members who were of a different stature. These folks were single adult members of our congregation, happily single, some with children, others not. These folks had always been in a different place in our midst. For some, the pandemic had increased their awareness of their differences because they felt even more isolated and less connected to our community. What could we do together to increase their connection and engagement to Beth Am? Well, I think it starts with increasing their connections to each other. So I took a census of our single adult households. I reached out to them and asked them if they were interested in meeting others like them, not for the purpose of matchmaking, but for the purpose of creating community, relationships, and ultimately engagement. 40 or so folks came forward as interested. In January, almost half of them had an outdoor meet and greet. Those who were available got together again in March, and they agreed to do these gatherings quarterly. Others wanted a little more, and they're getting together tomorrow to brainstorm ways to engage with each other. Connections are being made, and community is being created. If you don't see what you want or need, lift up your head. Let me know. I'm listening. I bet there are others like you, and we can create what you want and need together. We are a big synagogue, which brings with it the fullness of community. But community is much more than belonging in something. It's about doing something together that makes belonging matter. And I believe it's these smaller groups where meaningful relationships will be created, connecting individuals to each other and to Beth Am. And to me, that's engagement. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Paige. If you were inspired, talk to Paige, talk to any of the clergy or staff that are here tonight, or any of the board members, anybody with a name tag. Happy to answer your questions and help to find ways for you to connect as well. So thank you, Paige. I hope you were inspired and that it's got the juices flowing about how you might connect, perhaps in a new way than you've already connected to Beth Am. Even if you are connected, there are always new and exciting ways to connect. We'll continue on page 282. At the bottom of the page with Aleinu L'Shabeach. Invite you to please rise if you're able.
Aleinu L'Shabeach L'Adon HaKol, L'Atet Gerula L'Yotzer Breshit, Shelo Asanu K'goyei Haratzot, Velo Samanu K'mishpechot Ha'adama, Shelo Sam Chelkenu Kahem, V'gor Aleinu Kechol Hamonam, V'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim Lifnei Melech Malchei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Page 287.
V'nemar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad.
As we turn to our prayer of memory, this piece comes from, well, it comes from Susan Glickman, but it's found as well in the Women's Torah Commentary, which provides a little bit of poetry at the end of each Torah portion, inspired by something within the portion. And this piece, called They Had Names, was inspired by a bit of what Paige spoke about, actually, the idea of not just the census, but at the very beginning of Parshat Bamidbar, there's a discussion about the importance and sort of a naming of the individuals who would carry out the census and who would be the representatives of each of the tribes. So this piece is called They Had Names. They had names like Auntie Bee and Aunt Laura and more tight corsets. When you put your arms around them, you could feel the wires. They had papery skins, cheeks like moths' wings that trembled when you kissed them. Their husbands were dead, or they were called Sam or Arthur and wore hats, even in summer. They smoked cigars that always went out, and they let them go out. The old people had candies in their pockets and Kleenex. They carried pictures of grandchildren and knew all the stories about who was related to whom and why, and remembered them. When I was a child, I was told all the stories again and again, who was related to whom and why, and who died and why, but I always forgot. Years later, I have no one to tell me the stories. I remember the ladies' perfumes, lilac, carnation, and rose. They smelled like sachets. And I remember arthritic fingers, wedding bands sunk into the flesh. I always imagined they'd have to cut them off. They kept trying to decide whose eyes I had, whose nose, and what were my talents. I didn't listen. Now I want to know. I want to know where I fit in that long line of descendants from the country of the old. This evening, as I read a name of a loved one or friend, I invite you to rise in their honor. This week, we're in the period of Shiva, the first week of mourning, for Samuel Jacob Klein, the brother of Michelle Klein, brother-in-law of Glenn Daniel. We're in the period of Shloshim, the first 30 days of mourning, for Barbara Bunny Ratner, Suzanne Sue Coppett, Carl Rosenblum, Jean Zucken, Michael J. Lipson, and Joseph Duchovny. We also remember the 4 victims of the shooting at the Tulsa Medical Center earlier this week: Dr. Preston Phillips, Dr. Stephanie Huson, Amanda Glenn, and William Love. This Shabbat marks the yahrzeit, the anniversary of death of Carl Ackerman, Soledad Alagon, Cecilia Alexander, Helen Anderson, Gladys Angel, Robert Ozer Appleton, Theodore Bauer, Samuel Berger, Joseph Bergrun, Amy Bienenstock, Leonard Bossett, Ilya Briskman, Candy Bronstein, Miriam Berwick, Jean Cantor, Betty Chermak, Janice DePoo, Glory Fisher, Lottie Gans, Frank Gerlich, Benjamin Geschwind, Helen Greenwich, Sidney Hutchetal, Eileen Kaplan, Mikhail Kashis, Rose Klenzak, Deborah Layden, Eugenia Leonov, Eleanor Levine, Albert Lundy, Raphael Mednikov, Leah Meller, Ruth Alta Menkoff, Melvin Messero, Sabi Meyer, Fanny Milo, Tom Moser, Golda Mervite, Liba Nays, Mamie Oshman, Lucille Osney, Daniel Panzer, Harold Pergamit, Irving Rich, Minnie Robbins, Angelo Rolando, Yakov Roisenwasser, Walter Rubin, William Sagan, Helen Shapiro, Philip Shevik, Boris Schwartz, Saul Siegel, Thelma Sims, Robert Sinton, Suzanne Sommer, Epi Springer, Lavona Sterngold, Edgar Stone, Joan Targ, Jaime Tepper, Evelyn Thurm, Yefim Vachnayansky, Jaime Wertman, Sally Witchman, Pearl Yorn, and Dorothy Zucker. If there's someone whose name I haven't called and you'd like to rise and share their name as well, invite you to do so at this time. And as a community of strength and support, we rise together as we turn to words of Kaddish on page 294. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba, be'alma divrach yirtei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'v'zman kariv imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mevorach le'olam u'lalmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudesha b'richu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama Rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen.
Shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom. Ereinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'yimeru. Amen.
Well, with a new month, welcome to June. Happy almost summer. It's good to be outside again. With a new month comes a new tzedakah organization. Our funds for June are going this month to the Second Harvest Food Bank, our area's largest food bank, committed to fighting hunger in San Mateo and Santa Clara counties. So we encourage you to give generously. The tzedakah box, if you're here, is right at the back of our prayer space. And if you're watching virtually or you don't carry money on Shabbat, I invite you to donate on our website or through Venmo or Beth-Am. You can Venmo us as well. We'll end tonight with Adon Olam, page 353 or 657.
Not 353.
Not 353, just kidding.
300 and it's near the beginning.
Maybe 340.
We're almost there.
321
There it
or
is.
625. Sorry.
Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem kol Yitzir Nivra Letnasa Lehefzo kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam Ve'acharei Kichlot HaKol Levado Yimloch Nora Adon Olam Behu haya, behu hove, behu yeh v'tikvara Adon Olam, Adon Olam, Asher malach, b'terem kol, Yitzir nivra, Letnasa, Lehefzo kol, Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam, behu echad, ve'in sheni, להמשילו להחבירה אדון עולם, בלי ראשית בלי תכלית, ולא העוד להמשירה אדון עולם, אדון עולם, אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא, להתנשא בחפצו כל, אזי מלך שמו נקרא אדון עולם, והוא אלי וחי גואלי, בצור חבלי בעת אדון עולם, והוא ניסי ומנוסי, מנת כוסי ביום מקרא אדון עולם, אדון עולם, אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא, להתנשא בחפצו כל, אזי מלך שמו נקרא אדון עולם, בידו ארכין רוחי, Hashan ve'ayira Adon Olam Ve'yirechi Geviyati Adon Ali ve'lo ira Adon Olam Adon Olam Asher ala B'terem kol Nivra Lev nasa B'chefzo kol Hazai melech shemo nikra Adon Olam.
Well done. Join us for Motzi, please.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom. Yasher koach.